Hey y'all, it's time for rolling dice and taking names. In this episode, the guys cover the hot Euro White Castle. If you liked Watergate, then you'll want to hear about Match of the Century. Trickdraw is a new trick-taking game the guys enjoyed and will tell you about. And Tony reluctantly tries another social deduction game, Inside Job.
Hello and welcome to Rolling Dice and Taking Names. This is episode number 304, Margaritaville.
Wasted away.
Pretty much. I'm Tony.
I'm Marty.
And unfortunately, that's kind of, is it poetic? Because the poor man was wasting away before he passed away.
Wow.
Welcome to the dark episode of Rolling Dice and Taking Names.
Okay, so what is the deal? I guess it's just they're at that age. A lot of artists from the 70s and 80s are just going to pass away. Probably much every episode now, we can name the episode after a song of a recently deceased artist.
I was thinking the same thing, exactly the same thing. I'm like, okay, is this going to become, it's not a thing, but a string of things? Because, you know, here we are in our late 50s and we're looking at, oh my heavens, okay, well, we listened to that music, and they are now in their 70s and 80s. And they, let's just say they didn't take care of themselves.
I don't know. Did he not? I honestly don't know.
No, I'm not talking about Jimmy Buffett. I'm talking about just all the rockers. I mean, like AC/DC. I mean, Led Zeppelin. I mean, stuff was flowing freely back then.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, yeah, those were not natural causes of most of those back in the 70s. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so it's not that now it is natural causes, which I guess is better. So, you know, people maybe aren't damaging their bodies as much as what they used to. Okay, let's get off the deceased artist sort of thing.
Isn't that what old people talk about, though?
Yeah, it's true. It's like the older you get and you realize how much little life you have left, you just start talking about other people that die and just glad it's not you.
Did you hear that Bobby Joe just went to the hospital? Well, you know. But just down the street, Carol just passed away. So unfortunately, that's, visiting my mom where she lives, I get to hear these conversations. So I'm like, oh, my day's coming. But anyway, moving on.
It's funny. Actually, there's a joke of that in Seinfeld when they moved to the retirement home down in Florida. And the running gag is there's always an ambulance somewhere nearby in the neighborhood. So
that's true.
All right, here's the deal, y'all. Tony just got back from a long trip, and the last couple episodes have been kind of like where we would record a bunch of stuff and then we kind of threw it together for the past couple episodes. So Tony, you and I have been apart from each other for quite a while, and there's a lot of different things that you and I have played during that time apart. So maybe we ought to catch up real quick with some of the stuff that maybe you played, maybe while you were on your trips, how some stuff was received. I'll talk about maybe a few things that I played, and then we'll finally get back to, all right, some of the games we're covering this episode are some ones we just recently actually got to play together.
Well, unfortunately, I was on a cruise ship, so it's not like I took anything with me. Other than
I thought in my show notes here that you took stuff.
I did. I took a few things, but I'm not going to talk about. So when you're on the cruise ship with my in-laws, they're 80 and 84 and 77. It's not like I'm going to rip open a big old massive, worker placement game or anything like. Not that I'd put it in my suitcase or anything, but we did. We played 5 Crowns, Opashaw. We played Rage, which I talked about from last vacation where I picked that up.
Get to the good stuff.
Excuse me, Rage and Opashaw are. You taught me Opashaw.
No, Opashaw is good, but let's talk about hobby type games that you play.
Okay. Well, 6 Nymph. That's an amazing game.
That is a very popular game with you, yes.
Well, it's easy to teach and it's easy for them to understand, though I have to continually remind them. Matter of fact, when somebody goes, who goes first? I'm like, we play at the same time. We've been playing for 3 days on this ship. You play at the same time. But there may have been some wine. I don't know. But we did get to play some Pirate Tales, which is from Skybound Games. We've talked about that multiple times here on the show.
Love it.
Dropped that on the table. And let's just say the strategy went overboard. They didn't have any. It was not there. They didn't like it.
So that's the second group of people you've taught that game to, and they didn't care for it. The other was your daughter and her husband.
Right. And a lot of it comes down to, I just don't see any strategy in this.
Are we missing something then?
No, we're sitting there. Okay, if I fill up this island, I'm going to force someone to raid. If I need to hide something and to keep people from wanting to go to that island. I really want that island, so maybe I will put something there like a 0 to keep people from going there, knowing full well I want those cards that are being displayed. That it's some of the strategy, and they were just putting the cards down. They were happy if they could remember which island they put a card on.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I got to the point where I was pointing to the island where they placed the card.
Yeah, everybody get a little marker, put it on the island where you place the card for your first card. Yeah. So one game I've been teaching a lot recently is Splitto. I'm absolutely in love with that game. I think it is so good. Yeah, I taught it to another group of from some of the band members I play with. We play with 4 people, and it's one of those things that when you explain it, you don't get it. It's like, what do you mean I'm playing a card to the left and a card to the right of me every time? And then what's really more confusing is like, yeah, you have a scoring pile on your left and a scoring pile on your right that will score together at the end. They don't really get it until they actually play it. Now, we haven't officially covered this game, and I want to officially cover it sometime. It's from 21st Century Games, but it's another one of those small box card games that I just kind of like keeping it now in my case along with Scout. The crowd favorite, Scout. Every time you teach Scout, people like it.
And that one I did. Oh, by the way, going back to Splitto.
Splitto.
Yeah, when you said fins to the left, fins to the right.
Oh, look at there. You tied it right back in there.
I tried to.
Play to the left, play to the right.
And you're the only gamer in town.
Yeah.
So please, nobody auto-tune that. Okay, Scout. Yes, I took that one, and I was like, I wonder how this one is going to go over. And it was a huge hit. They loved it. Once they got past, you cannot rearrange your cards.
I think you told me too, and I think this is funny. I've noticed this too, is people turn the cards upside down when they want to see which side they want to keep, and you show them it's there.
It's right there.
Look at the small number beneath the large number in the upper left-hand corner. That's what's on the other side.
But they kept doing it, and then I sent y'all a message over in our WhatsApp discussion. I'm like, and then the rule that confused them, well, does a run have to be in order? Yes. It can't.
But it could be ascending or descending. That's the problem, right?
Right. Well, it was, does it have to be 1, 2, 3, or can it be 1, 3, 2? I'm like, that's not
1, 3. That's not an order.
That's not a run. But there it is, sorta. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but what about if I rearrange it? It's like, okay, just give me the cards.
And we talked about this at game night. My cards would come back on the table and they would be curled. They would be mangled.
Okay, that's going to segue into another one for me. But
okay, go for it.
What is it with older people and cards? Is it just they're so used to playing with the regular deck of cards that they just don't mind mangling cards? What's the deal with holding a card and putting pressure right in the middle with their thumb and folding it?
So that they can bend it around so nobody can see it, so they can fan it towards them. Kind of like a bill of a 90-degree bill of a baseball cap. That's what they're trying to achieve with this.
It's so bad. My dad is the worst at flipping. He likes to bend the corner of a card. He'll like be fidgeting with the cards and flick the corner. So when I was playing Undaunted Stalingrad with him, I said, I'm sleeving all these bad boys to try to keep him from doing that. And if I noticed him doing it, I said, would you stop? You're marking the cards. Speaking of games with my dad, so I got to play Sky Team with him.
Yes, how'd he like that? He's a pilot.
Yeah, there's the problem. So he overanalyzed every single part of the game as we were playing it. Like, if it didn't make sense, he could not understand it. So the one that got him the most was the engine speed. Do you remember that we each have to play a die, and the sum, it will depend. It depends on what your approach is, where it is between two things on the board. Means you don't approach the airport at all, or approach one space, approach two. He was really, really bothered by that because he was like, as my flaps and everything goes down, my airspeed's not going to increase. And I went, correct. He kept thinking that those dice were airspeed. So I finally had to, I think it may say engine speed in the rules. I just said, change that. Let's call it power.
Oh,
I said, oh, he said, yes. What happens if you lower the flaps and lower the landing gear? We said, well, you got to give more power to maintain your speed and altitude. There you go. That's what we're going to do. And literally, it clicked, and he enjoyed the rest of the game.
Okay.
So playing with the pilot who analyzed everything, it's like once he got over that little bit right there. Oh, he also didn't like the fact, why does it take 3 steps to lower the landing gear? They're either down or they're up. You don't move it in stages. And I went, okay, that one I can't answer for you. You just got to let that one go.
There's a big handle. You just grab it and you either put it up or you put it down.
Yeah, it's binary. They're either down or they're up. There's not like a third of the way down with the landing gear. I said, I can't help you with that one. Just let that one go. He said, okay, I will let that one go. But once we got by all that, he really enjoyed playing the game. So
did you
Sky
get it
Team
landed?
is just, did we land? I played the training mission with him twice. We landed the second time. We got it in there. And then at that point, I could tell he was kind of done. It's like, all right, well, we'll go have a cigar or something. You've overanalyzed enough as it is. But yeah, Sky Team with the pilot, be careful, y'all, and get ready to have it overly analyzed, but that's fine. They still did a good job of getting a lot of the basic concepts in, which is what I appreciate about it.
Now, there was I don't know if you remember, we were playing CDSK, the trivia game, one night at Gen Con.
Uh-huh.
And a gentleman that was playing with us, Tim Brown, he was playing with us, and he was the designer of a game, Order of Invention, from Breaking Games.
Yes.
Okay. So I pulled that out, and I was just curious. He said, he handed it to me. He said, would you talk about it on the show? And I said, well, I mean, what's it about? And basically it is a deck of cards. Think wits and wagers. Think wits and wagers. Okay.
Okay.
But there's this huge deck of cards in there, and it's a bunch of inventions. Now we played this also, and you place 4 inventions out on the table, and you're trying to wager which came first, which was the earliest invention, to the 4th one, which is the last. Mm-hmm. We've played this multiple times, and if you're right in the order, you get a victory point. And then you can later wager those victory points if you think you're really right. Now, some of these things, like crayons and air conditioning and MRI machines, mm-hmm. You like, oh, I know when this is. I know when these things were. You don't. Because one thing about this, it's not when did it become commercially available. It's when was it invented.
Sure, yes.
So we're playing this, and like crayons, 1903.
Okay.
Air conditioning, around the early 1900s too.
Okay, I believe that, yeah.
Because it was in the factories. MIR was, I can't remember, this is not $5. It was like in the 60s or something like that.
That late? Okay, I thought it might have been earlier.
One I knew exactly when it was the Slinky. I knew that date, but it was I thought, for my mom and my aunt and uncle who are also, in their 80s, I'm like, this will be a great game for them because 1, there's not a lot to it. And 2, they've probably lived through a lot of these things being invented. Mm. My mom got real pissy because she was sitting there going, I can't remember all this. I can't do this. And I go, well, Mom, just try it. Just see what you think. And so we put the cards on there, and then she goes, yeah, but I remember when, like, it was a photocopier. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, when I was in school in the 70s, we had the stencil machine, and we didn't get photocopies until the late 70s, but your father was using them in the 60s at work. And then I think I saw it, on other things. So in the industry, and she rationalized everything out. And she and Donna won. We were playing as teams. And I look at her and go, and yet you were whining. And she's like, well, I played it again with Donna and her parents. Her dad was arguing with the cards. That was the funniest thing ever. I disagree with this. Calculators were back when the Chinese have an abacus. The word is electronic calculators.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting game. I mean, it's not one that I'm going to put on the table for us, but I think, for a fun little wager party game, this thing is nothing to it, but it was fun seeing all these various inventions. But we did notice when Donna kept playing it, we played it like 4 or 5 times. We noticed that same even though there's this huge deck of cards, the cards were coming up at the same, certain cards were coming up. So we had an advantage on people.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then again, as I get older, I'm not going to remember these things either. So yeah, I'll keep this for 20 years.
So I had to look it up. The person who invented the MRI machine first proposed it in 1969. The patent came out in 1974.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I was close. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I didn't realize it was that late. Let's put it that way. So very cool. Very cool. All right. At Gen Con, Travis wanted me to buy him some One Piece starter decks.
Okay.
One Piece is a trading card game based on the anime. They didn't have them, but he still was like looking for some. He said, I'm going to go to Miniature Market. And I said, well, hold on. Before you go to Miniature Market, let me give you a link. So yes, y'all, we have our affiliate link for Miniature Market on our webpage. And if you use it, it helps out the show by giving 5% back to the show. And it's also good for Miniature Market to see, hey, there are some people clicking on this link and everything. So if you're getting ready to go to Miniature Market, head over to our webpage, or it's pinned in our Discord channel, and use that link. So anyway, he used that link and he ordered some One Piece starter decks. And so he said, would you mind playing? I said, I'll play any trading card game. I know nothing about One Piece, so the theme doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm going to sit here and play it. Dude, it was really cool. Two of the things that's very unique about the game. So it's a typical thing is you got to knock the other person's leader down from health down to 0. Standard fare. But what's interesting is when you start the game, let's say you and I both have 5 life on our leader card. We take the top 5 cards of our deck and put them off to the side, and that's our life deck. Whenever we take damage, we remove card from that life deck and put it into our hand.
Oh, okay.
So taking damage actually put cards in your hand, and when that deck is empty, you lose the game. But the resource mechanic is also cool. Both of you only have 10 resources to work with, and you just have a separate resource deck. At the beginning of your turn, you just take 2 resources and put them down in front of you, tap them, and then you can use them. But those resource cards can be attached to characters in play and give them a bonus boost on their attack.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Just a couple little things like that I thought was really, really cool. And it played super quick, but the whole life deck and the resource deck was really interesting.
I like that idea of that life deck and bringing it back. So there's your timer, there's your health, but yet it's not something that's boring. It's actually, it goes into your hand. It can help you. You took damage. It's the way, it's not a catch-up mechanic.
Some of the cards that you put in your deck have what's called triggers. If the card came from your life deck and has a trigger on it, you trigger that effect. Oh. So sometimes they'll give you a bonus when it comes back into your hand.
And I'm hoping some cards will put cards into your life deck, or are you always...
Yes. Okay. There are cards I'll let you draw from the top of your deck and resupply your life deck. There are some where you purposely take damage to make yourself stronger, sort of deal, that sort of thing too. So anyway, it is really cool. And since we're talking about One Piece, if y'all haven't watched One Piece, the Netflix show, go watch it. It's the best TV series I've seen in forever. Fantastic show.
In forever?
One of the best shows I've seen in a very long time.
Okay.
Long time. I know nothing about One Piece. I never watched the anime, never watched the manga. But after watching 8 episodes of that TV show, I actually started watching the anime. It hooked me instantly.
So it's a TV show and not your anime stuff?
Correct. It's a live action show.
It's a live action show. And well, educate me, because I'm not going to click on a button.
It's about pirates.
Oh, I like pirates.
I knew it. Now, it's pirates, but it's zany, sort of campy stuff.
I like campy.
But it's still about pirates.
I like campy.
So if you have Netflix.
No.
Okay. Moving on.
It's like $30, $40, $50 now for Netflix.
No, it's not. He just got off a freaking cruise. You can afford $15 a month for Netflix.
I thought it was $20.
I don't know. There's different tiers. I don't know what it is.
Okay. I am not. Okay, yeah, I am cheap. I will own cheap. I'm fine. But there's a reason why I'm so cheap.
Okay.
Why is it that whenever you go on a big vacation, at least for me, something happens? And so
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Oh, is this what you were messaging us the day that you was getting ready to go on your trip?
Yeah. So Saturday night, we're leaving on Sunday. I'm sitting there in the living room, And, it's the South, and it was like going to be, I don't know, in the 90s or something. And then it was cooling down at night. And I'm sitting there on the couch, we're getting ready to go to bed, all packed. We are ready to go. And we got to be at the airport. We've made arrangements for rides. We're good to go. And all of a sudden, I'm like, it is not cooling down in this house. Why is it not cooling down?
The worst feeling ever.
It is. It really is. And I'm like, okay, what is wrong? And this is over Labor Day. And I'm like, this will be an expensive one. And I'm like, okay, I'm hearing the fan kick in outside. I'm hearing the fan in the upstairs kick in. So I'm not really sure what it is, so forth and so on. And I'm like, so I turn it all off, and we get home 15 days later. The house got up to, one day, because it was like close to 100 degrees here in Charlotte, and our house got up to 92 degrees inside. How did people sleep back then?
I don't know, man. They were made of much tougher stuff than what we are.
Yeah, and they had to wear real clothes, not what we wear. I guess maybe they slept in a river. I don't know. That's why air conditioning was invented in the early 1900s. But it was the capacitor, and it's a dual capacitor. So that was an expensive little repair that the guy did. But they did come out. But when we got home, they were coming to the next day. So we got to sleep in we did get to sleep though. It was 85 degrees in the house when we went to bed, and I was like, how in the world are we going to? I was gone. I was like, man, I'm just tired. So, and this goes in line. I mean, I've had where the main water line has broken out front of my house. I've had where the water line under the sink broke. Water. And there was another big thing that broke recently. We were leaving, and Rebecca got when she was a baby, she got into a whole thing of fire ants, had to deal with that. That was fun. So, it's whenever I told Dawn, I said, let's just stay home. Let's not go anywhere.
I know you'd be okay with that. She probably wouldn't be.
No, she wouldn't. I got to
go. Okay. So
what else?
I think we have just one game left to mention that we did not play together. And this was a big one. Just quickly, Ring Circus, big game from DeVere Games. I played this a couple times actually while you were gone. We didn't play that many new things, so guess what? We just kept playing the same thing over and over again. And so I got to play, roll your eyes. I played a 2 and 3 player games of Ring Circus. This is again from DeVere Games and Fabio Lupino, who has made games I like Ragusa, Calamari, stuff like that. So I was really excited about it. And I will say, after playing it a few times, it's kind of just a mid game for me.
Okay.
It's okay. I like the theme of it. Basically, you have a circus that's traveling around the country, and you're trying to build your circus by getting and hiring performers that go on your tableau. And the way you arrange and set up your performers on the tableau help give you points. It's a clever idea of on your turn, you can move around the country, and depending on what city you stop at, you get things. If you stop at a small city, you take these cards that are, you end up playing on your board, but they have like money values in the upper left-hand corner. That's how you pay for things. You actually spend those cards to pay for not only those types of cards, but other performer cards. The medium cities actually give you those performer cards, which are very useful because when you go to the large cities, you will evaluate your tableau, and based on how your performer cards are positioned, there's little color symbols or color codes in the upper left, and it may say, hey, in this city, if you have a red one here and then a yellow one and a blue one on one of your rows, you're going to get major points. So the idea is you're trying to look ahead and trying to plan, okay, I want to have this person here, and when you go in that city, which is kind of clever, but number one, the ramp up is really slow at the beginning, and then it speeds up really quick because as you go to each city, you have these little circus tents of your color that you drop on locations. And once they're there, nobody else can go there. But you also skip over those when you count spaces. So you have a huge number of spaces open to you at the beginning of the game. But as everybody starts placing their circus markers over different cities, there's less open cities for you to move to. So you then quickly move around the map. There's a Barnum Bailey actually circus train that moves around the map. And when it makes a complete circle around the map, the game ends.
Game's over.
It was fine, but we ran into a situation in one of the games where we ran out of our colored circus tents. And the rules state when you move to a city, you must be able to place a tent. Well, we got to a point, it's like, me and Bert were like, I can't move anymore. I have no more tents to place. And I thought, are we playing something wrong? And we thought maybe we forgot to move the Barnum Circus one time when we should have, because every time you place a tent, you're supposed to move the Barnum Bailey Circus train. So we went out to the forums, and the designer said, oh, well, you really need to plan ahead and make sure you save tents for the end of the game. I'm like, oh, okay. I can't plan that far ahead to know that I can't use a tent now. I really need money cards. I've got to go to this little tiny town to get some money cards, but I might need that at the very end of the game to get into the large city to score big points. Again, it was a fine game. As far as DeVere game goes, it's probably lower on my list of their recent games than some of the others. But in this episode, we're going to talk about a DeVere game that we did get to play that is actually up there on some of the top DeVere games that we played. So yeah, if you ever want to play it, I got it. You may like it. It just, for us, it was just kind of an average game.
No, not every game's going to trip the old trigger.
No, and a lot of people love it. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people really, really, really like this game. But you know what? Like you said, not everybody's going to like every game.
Mm-hmm. They're not.
And that's quite all right. Like we're getting ready to talk about White Castle later on. Not everybody may like that, and that's fine too.
Yes. And then another one that we got on the table finally was Sagrada Artesian.
The kind of legacy one?
The legacy one. Finally got. Donna wants to play it with 4 people. So we finally found some people that would play it. And then,
okay.
So the first 30 minutes I had to explain legacy games.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so we're playing the game, and it's not as legacy centric as some other legacy games, like the first Pandemic legacy games, where I'm constantly adding stickers and changing things. And like I said, we only got the first game in because there was a lot of things I needed to discuss and explain to people. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that you can sit there while you're waiting. Not that my wife took her time or anything. But you can sit there and color your stained glass. You can color in your coloring book. It is so fun. You're just sitting there coloring in, not your boards or anything. It's a white page, and you get to color in the stained glass. You just sit there and have fun.
So let me ask you about that. So do they have refills? Like after you finish the game, you can buy more of the coloring books?
Yes, they have some. Well, I don't know if you can replay that, or you could probably order the books again.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Probably you can do that, but they also have a bunch of pads that you can buy that will let you play with all the new rules that you've put in place. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into it yet. Like I said, we just got one in. I cannot report, but I'm going to tell you this. There's 10 rounds in this, or 10 games to get to the end of this campaign. Yeah. I guarantee you this will be a 2024 by the time we get done. I'm taking late.
And that's okay. I can't wait to hear your talk on this, because there were a lot of people who said, I would love to tell you more about this game, but I can't spoil it. Mm. Like later on, supposedly there's some really cool things that happen that you don't want to spoil anybody with. So I can't wait for 2024 to hear what you think about it.
Stop flipping through your book. Leave your book alone.
Put down your number 2 pencils.
Yeah. Oh, that was probably the coolest thing ever, because I was thinking I was going to have to run to Walmart. I open it up, and they've got 4 packs of colored pencils in there. I'm like, this is so, and these aren't cheap ones either. It's so cool.
Oh, that is good. That is good. All right, that covers all the games that we played separately. You and I got to play a quick game this past week. We just played one, just tried out, Overboss Duel.
Mm-hmm. Hey, hold on. Sweetie. Yeah. Sweetie, real quick, yell into the mic. What'd you think of Sagrada the other night?
Sagrada Legacy?
Yeah.
I'm holding out judgment.
You're holding out judgment?
Yeah, I want to see how it continues from here.
Okay. Well, then I'll have you on at a later episode, okay?
Okay.
All right. In 2024.
2024. That's probably about the soonest we'll get it to the table, right?
Well, I hope not.
We'll see what we can do. All right. Very good.
All right.
Thank
nice.
you.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I had to. She had to. She just brought me. She's the baker. She just brought me a cupcake.
Okay. So you might want to save that for our taste buds.
Oh,
so you have something to wash it down with. All right. So you brought to the table Overboss Duel.
Overboss Duel. Brotherwise
I have not played any of the Overboss, any types of those games.
I haven't either.
Big boss battles or anything. So I was very curious about this. We only played one game, but I will say,
I've played 2.
okay. Oh, that's right, because you played with Donna. You started to play with Donna, didn't get to finish.
Yes. We'll
And
just
then
go.
you play-
We're
You'll
there.
play with me. Okay. At its core, a tile laying game, right?
It's a tile. Tile lane interactive game. The original Overboss, you had your own mat trying to achieve things.
Okay. This makes more sense now. And on this one, you have a shared map between the two, and you're putting down tiles. And at the end, when the board is filled, you each score your side of the board.
Right. And you can you can put tiles on another person's side. You can interact with everything. So not very, a lot of interaction can occur.
The teach on this was kind of brutal. I mean,
it is.
Learning how the tiles work. It's like, okay, when you place the tile, you get to do this. And then this tile scores a certain way at the end of the game. And I can't remember how many, off the top of your head, you remember how many different tiles there were?
I think there were 5 terrain tiles in a dungeon tile, tiles.
Something like that. So each of them had their own characteristics. I'd have to play this multiple times so that I wouldn't have to refer to the rules.
Yes, and how to score them and the effects that they have and the various tokens that are coming out on top of it. Because if you've never played Overboss Duel or Overboss, you are picking a tile and a token that is joined with it or paired with it and placing it on your board. And in Overboss Duel, you're still doing the same mechanic. And by the way, if you have Overboss Duel, you can mix the two. That's a big thing if you enjoy playing Overboss. And I ran into the same issue with Donna. She had to have her cheat sheet, what the tiles were doing. I mean, she's used to Carcassonne. Let's be honest. And that's straightforward, right? Here, it was like, okay, what can I do? And the same thing happened in our game that happened with Donna when we were playing. It became, I wasn't messing on her side of the board. She wasn't messing on my side. There wasn't that interaction that I think this is where this game would really shine with 2 people playing, where you're battling it out, trying to be the big overboss. Overall, yeah, it was. The teach was brutal. Try it again, see what we think of it. Understanding there was something, the towns, which is one of the new tiles, that was kind of confusing and reminding you, say, okay, this is this type of monster band versus the monster that can go on the tile. And
and heroes show up. And how do you kill a hero? Where you just match it with a token that matches the type of tile that you're going to put it on, or you have a row of matching monsters to take out the hero.
Right. It was pretty rough. So I would like to try it again now that we've got, 1 under your belt, 2 under mine, before we give it a full judgment. But right now, I know it's not ever going back on the table with Donna. I can tell you that right now.
So I gave you something the other day. Did you have a chance to try the battle card game?
I'm sorry, I did not.
All right. So this is a new game from David Thompson, who we cover anything from David Thompson, and designer Niels Johansson. And this is coming out on Kickstarter. Should be out, I think, actually right now. This is it's just a print. You actually print the board game and you play with just like 11 dice, and it's a 10-minute war game. When you back it, you're just going to get files. And he actually sent me copies of the files of the 2 games that are coming out. They're based in World War II, and they're different maps. And so I printed them out, and it tells you the rules and everything are on the one page. Hey, get this number of dice, place these dice on the board. Like for the one that was based in the Pacific Theater, these dice represent the Japanese forces. This represents you. And every round, you have the option of battling the Japanese. There's a little table off to the side that says, hey, depending on the strength of them and the strength of you, you're going to roll some die. The results will tell you how much damage each of you take. What's interesting thing is when you retreat, if you run into another one of your allied die, you sum them together to add, and then add the strengths together. So it's like merging 2 forces together, so that when the forces come to you, you're a little bit stronger that time. And basically the goal is to survive for 6 rounds. You have a die that you tick up at the end of every round. And if you survive to the end, I think one of them is retreat to Singapore. If you can get your forces to Singapore and have a strength of your die, I think it was like 3 or something like that, you win the game. It's very straightforward, but he is really, really good at coming up these clever, simple ways of making these little historical games.
I'm sitting here trying to think, what the one Resist, which was the card game.
Yes, the card game.
The brutal card game that he came up with. Man.
This one's even easier to learn than that, and it's only 10 minutes, and the setup is literally, it's like, put this value die here, start playing the game. And I just sat there and played the game multiple times, and I played with both maps. So this is interesting. Sounds interesting to you. This is called Series 1. So it sounds like they're just going to do a whole bunch of these. It's from Postmark Games. Again, it's called Battle Card, Print at Home Solitaire Games. It's on Kickstarter right now. We'll put a link in the notes. But try it sometime. Take it to work or something like that, and just leave it on your desk and have a handful of dice off to the side and give it a shot.
We don't have desks anymore.
Okay, never mind.
No, I mean, yes, and actually we're fixing to move into a new building, which I'm not, and I don't have an office because my office is being remodeled, yada, yada, yada. So we'll just move on from there. Now, there is something on our show notes that I'm not really sure because that I know unless there's something there that possibly enjoys Sir Meeple Coffee.
Yeah. All right. So Sir Meeple Coffee is, or Sir Meeple is a company over in the UK. They've sent us like coffee cups and some posters and stuff like that. They started sourcing and selling their own coffee. They sent me a couple packs of coffee. And let me just tell y'all, this is good stuff. They source it from some really good locations in the world. It was, I don't think this was the flavored stuff. We got caffeinated and decaf, and my family loved the decaf. And so we actually have an affiliate code with them. If you use code RDTN, you get a percentage off your purchase. The thing is, though, they don't have a really cheap way to ship to the U.S. right now. If you're in the U.S., it's probably going to be a little bit too pricey for you to order a pack of coffee and have it sent because of shipping charges. But if you're in the UK, go check it out. We'll have a link in our show notes at Meeple Coffee. I said Sir Meeple Coffee. It's meeplecoffee.co.uk. And we'll have a link there for our affiliate code. You can go get I think it's like 5% off or something like that. Your order and have it shipped to you locally. But before I recorded this episode, he contacted me and said, "Hey, Marty, I just want to let you know, when you let people know about this, we are working with a shipping service to possibly bring down the cost of shipping abroad in 2024. So stay tuned."
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there on the website right now, and there's one of them, Captain's Clarity Decaf.
That's what we had. That's Captain's Clarity's good. We have decaf at night, so it doesn't keep us up.
Okay, flavors well with honey, milk, chocolate, and vanilla, but plays well or pairs well with Starship Captains, Eclipse, and Terraforming Mars. I'm like, well, that's kind of cute how they did that. I like that. All right.
Yeah. meeplecoffee.co.uk. Go check it out if you're over in the UK, especially because you can get it shipped to you cheap there. And stay tuned. In 2024, maybe we'll have some solutions for some US-based customers.
Now, for those of you that have continued to hang in there with us, now we've covered a lot, but there's a few things that we still want to talk about. They are game related.
Everything's been game related so far, pretty much.
Yeah. So if you've been exercising, yes, it's not a game review. You still got to hang in there. You still got about another 15 minutes. But one of those things, while I was on the ship, and Viking gives you internet, my Google News feed was constantly coming up, and it was feeding me information about this new card game coming out from Ravensburger called Lorcana. And when I was in Halifax, I went to a game store, and they were sold out of starters, and they were selling the packs, the booster packs, for $10 per booster pack, and you could buy one a day. And I was just like, this is just unfreaking real. He's like, yeah, we were able to get some, and people want them, and they are just clamoring for them. And I go, really? He's like, yeah, I just hope that they support it. And I think they've announced some tournament support, haven't they, Marty?
I'm not sure. I have not kept up with it. I know that some local stores here are having some weekly events. I don't know if they're Ravensburger sponsored events, like following their organized play protocol, or whether they're doing it themselves.
So the thing is, the web is being flooded with this stuff. But then one article caught my eye where they're going to reprint Lorcana Series 1. Ravensburger said, we're going to do that. We're going to go out there. It's been so popular. We want to make sure we get product to the people. And when I posted this to Marty, I'm like, people are whining about this because they're like, well, they need to make sure that the second printing has some marking on it so it puts more value in the cards that are in the first printing, where we were out there selling these and getting people to pay a top dollar for. It's not fair. It's going to destroy the Lorcana market. Okay. This is Marty, where I start to just say, okay, I'm stepping away. Y'all people need to just get a clue. It's a game.
Yeah, and I assume the people that are complaining are those who've, like you said, fought really hard to get these first edition, well, what I'm calling first edition, these first prints, thinking they're going to sit on them and go up in value. And then I guess if they do a second printing, they'll obviously drop. I don't know. I don't know enough about the secondary market to know, will that affect the game? I don't know. I guess it could affect the collectability for those who are in it for collectible reasons. But we saw with Pokemon, maybe you shouldn't be, from 2020, maybe you shouldn't be buying cards for collectible purposes. Instead, just kind of buy them to play the game. Some of them will inherently have value on their own, but don't be like investing in anything. So for me, I don't care whether it looks different. That's kind of up to them, but I don't think it should look different. Now, I think Flesh and Blood, they had a second printing of their first box that was available on Kickstarter and very hard to find after that. I have less issues with their second printing looking a little different because those people that were on Kickstarter invested in getting that first print run. So, here's our money. We trust this product. So I think they want to protect those initial Kickstarter backers somewhat. And then for everybody else who got in late, it's like, well, here, you can still buy the cards, but they look a little bit different than the ones we had for the Kickstarter and the initial print run.
And does it really matter with the cards? I mean, the cards is the rarities and all that. I mean, I understand for them, it may be not Ravensburger, First Blood. For them, it's like, okay.
Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood, sorry. The name just spaced. It's completely out. Flesh and Blood, it's like, hey, you're right. We invested in this company. We should get cards that are better. And the second print run, you're really, for a tournament, if there's a lot of prize money or something like that, maybe I should have the advantage because I invested in it. I can see an argument there.
But it's not, they're different cards. They're just different. There's first edition and second edition. The text on the cards work the same way.
I don't understand all this. I don't see the need to invest in these cards. I invested in baseball cards in the 80s, and that bit me in the butt. I will never do it again.
Yep. Until Star Wars comes out.
Not doing it then either.
You said you were.
No, I will play the game, but I'm not going to go out and try to get like we did with Lord of the Rings. Well, we wanted the Lord of the Rings, the rares, just to have the good decks. Yes, and that's the only reason why I would want anything from. We already know for Star Wars they're going to do special foils and chase cards. I don't care about that either. No. I just want to build a decent deck with certain cards. So no, I'm not going to be chasing anything either. I just want to play the game. All right, so a quick announcement here. This was shared with me from Sean Brown. I actually reached out to a game company called Pythagoras, who has a game coming out at Essen called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Celtae. Celta, something like that. It looked like a really cool game that was themed up in the, the Irish, early Irish and stuff like that. I just thought it looked really cool. So I contacted him. I said, hey, how can you get a copy of the game? And he said, oh, well, you can buy the game and we'll ship it to you. But the shipping it from there over somewhere in Europe was going to cost as much as the game. I said, okay, that doesn't make any sense. I said, is anybody going to have it over here? And he said, yes, Mr. B Games will be carrying it. Sweet. So I reached out to Mr. B Games. And they said, oh, yes, we'll be carrying that. I said, oh, great. That's good to know. He said, in fact, we're carrying all the Pythagoras line. I went, that's cool. He said, but we haven't announced that yet. I said, oh, when are you going to? He said, would you guys like to announce it on your show? I went, sure. So he gave us a little press release. So Here's the deal. I know. So I didn't realize this. Did you know that in June, Mayfair Games, the company that used to print Catan, has resumed publishing. Oh, okay.
They're not doing Catan games anymore, but they've resumed publishing. And in that time, they acquired Mr. B Games. So what we're announcing today is that Mayfair Games now has an exclusive partnership with the Pythagoras line of games to sell in North America, including the game that we talked about, plus a game called Lotta, Lunaris 45, and Gods of Rome. And there'll be more titles coming next year. And there's some really cool games from this publishing company. So there you go. A lot of these games are going to be premiered at Essen. Couldn't get them here until now. they're going to be providing them here in North America.
Now, Mr. B Games did a Richard Launius racing game recently, and
Correct. Yes. And so Richard has worked a lot with this organization over the years.
yeah, Sean, yeah, he's when he was at Mega Moose Con, he spoke very highly of Mr. B Games, and he was like, I've designed this game, and I want you guys to do this. So that's all right. Very good then. Oh man, I'm getting parched. How much longer?
I know. One more thing.
Okay.
I want to try an experiment because we're already well within to this show, and we still got a lot of games to talk about.
Oh my gosh, it's 45 minutes.
I know. So here we go. We still got taste buds, and we got some games to cover. So I'm going to try something. You always get on me about explaining rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say, okay, well, I have to keep it short, and then if I start running long, just cut me off. I'm going to try to talk about a game without going in depth on rules unless there's something I liked about the game because of a rule.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm fine with
I'm
that.
going to try it. I'm going to try this. And with something like White Castle, which there's a lot going on, we'll see how it goes. Because from what I'm hearing from people, it's like people are less interested in the rules and more just want to hear about, look, what'd you think about the game?
I've told you that time and time again. And I also used to have a buzzer. I could buzz you.
Yes. And you never used it.
Well, somehow it got broken. So I'm excited for this, but I'm really excited because tis the time of this year when Mountain Dew drops on us some voodoo. Taste buds. Taste buds. Taste buds. Incredible stuff. Taste buds. Two incredible stuff. Taste buds. They're just a bunch of.
That's right, y'all. It is the mystery flavor voodoo drink that comes out every year in October, where there is some special flavor about this, and the goal is try to guess the flavor, and they announce it usually at the end of October. Now, on our Discord channel, some people have already got their hands on this, Tony, and they can't figure out what it is.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see if we could possibly guess what it is. And by the way, if you're not a member of our Discord channel, make sure you head over to rolldicetechnames.com and join over there. We'd greatly appreciate it.
I need to do that.
What?
Go over to our Discord channel.
Yeah, you are never on there.
I just read. I don't post. I read. I lurk.
I see that. I see that.
I know. That's just me.
Number one, I love the can. I think it's one of the best designed cans I've seen in a while.
I like this is the number 5th version.
Oh, it's on there somewhere? Oh, yes. I see it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm 0 for 4 on these because I didn't get the first one.
Yeah. So, I just like it's like it's like it's not like death. It's like
the screen character
from Christmas character from the Christmas Carol. The Ghost of the Future.
Yeah.
Ghost of Future. Yeah. It looks like him with the hood, except it has voodoo where his face is. All right, you ready to pop the lid?
Pull the tab? Sure.
Pull the tab, yeah.
All right.
Everything smells the same to me now.
Well, as long as the first thing is, I'm always checking for vanilla that the Coke used to do. Oh, that. Ooh. Okay, well, I'm liking this.
It's fruity.
It's very fruity. It's not papaya. Oh, I'm letting it breathe some more. Breathe, baby. This is voodoo. This is so good.
All right, ready to try it?
Yeah, let's do this. Wait, okay. What color is it? It looks to be clear. Okay, I'm ready.
Ooh, I like this. I don't know what it is, but I like this.
Woo, that's got a little tartness to it. It's like a blueberry, but everything's like a blueberry to me.
Does it have a little Mountain Dew Red to you? You're a Mountain Dew Red fan.
It's got the little bit.
Okay, maybe. Okay,
I mean, it's a strong artificial flavor, whatever it is.
No, I really like this. It's not overly like sweet.
No, it's not. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what this is.
I'll give it to Donna, who can taste test and she usually is very good with these things.
I mean, do you even have a guess? You said blueberry.
I'm feeling like a blueberry raspberry, but I'm more curious.
Raspberry.
Was it raspberry?
I'm now that you said raspberry, I'm getting raspberry.
Now Vanessa's already tried this, right? She's already. Okay.
Nope, she didn't know I had this.
Okay. All right. Well, while you do that, I'm going to eat one of the cupcakes Donna made. This is a vanilla cupcake with a buttercream icing with a rosette. Yeah, look at that. It's going to be so good. Keep swinging that down. 0, big boy.
All right. So there you go. It's Taste Buds Voodoo. We both like it. We don't have a guess. Come over to our Discord channel. Let us know what you think, and we'll look forward to the announcement at the end of October. Hey, Vanessa, I got a new game I want to teach you.
Well, I've got 2 questions for you then.
Okay.
Is it easy to learn?
I can teach you in 2 or 3 minutes.
And how long does it take to play it?
It only takes 10 to 15 minutes.
Ooh.
That's kind of your sweet spot.
No, I was saying like, ooh, hard to believe it. So tell me about it.
All right, this is Skyrockets from Floodgate Games. In Skyrockets, players are going to take turns playing cards in order to flip the matching sand timers, which are your fireworks, without letting any of them run out. Can you flip a sand timer?
I can flip a sand timer.
All right, so here's the thing is, you have to keep the timers running as you advance along the festival countdown track. You try to work together, you get the countdown track down to the end, you win the game. But if you don't keep your fireworks aloft, you end up losing.
I don't like to lose.
I know you don't, but that's why we got to keep practicing it over and over. But the nice thing is once we kind of figure it out, there are 30 different scenarios that you can play in this game. So if you think the first one's easy, we can keep getting them harder and harder over time, keeping a good challenge.
Well, why are you talking? Let's go play.
Let's do it. And if you're interested in this game, head over to floodgategames.com in order to find out more information and when the pre-orders are going to become available. Pretty much any time a Devere game comes out, I want to try it. Number one, I just think they have a really... I know I wasn't a big fan of Ring Circus, but I still think it's a unique game that a lot of people will like. But it seems like everything they've released recently, I know that I've really dug. Lacrimosa, Jerusalem, Red Cathedral. And speaking of Red Cathedral, the game that we're going to talk about, The White Castle, is from the same designers as the Red Cathedral, Isra C. and Shay S. And again, this is coming to us from White Castle Games. Game plays 1 to 4 players in 80 minutes. And after playing a few games of this, let me just say that time is spot on.
Mm-hmm.
With 4 players, we were finishing between 1 hour and 15 minutes and 90 minutes.
Yes. As long as people didn't sit there and waste my time. Yeah, we could have been done sooner. But some people were wasting my time. And some people, like myself, should have spent more time on the game. Man,
you know what I love about games like this is that it's such a simple action. Player turn, draft a die, place a die.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly it. But what's really cool is placing a die can start triggering a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I said it was like, it's very combolicious to me.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I can place a die, which lets me do this. Oh, now I can do this over here. Now I can do this over here. It's kind of an effective turn. Now, of course, you could take a die, place a die, and do one thing, and then it's the next person's turn. And after we played a few games of this, didn't you feel like if you just used a die to get resources and that was it, it was a wasted turn?
Oh, yeah.
Like, why couldn't I do more sort of deal?
I mean, this game, it plays so fast. It's over in 3 rounds.
Well, you're always going to get to play 3 die every turn. So 9 die total for the game.
Yeah, 9 turns. And just like any of these games, you're going to have a little build up. And so you always feel like that first round, or at least for me, after we've played, it was like, you cannot mess around. You've got to achieve what you're looking for. You have got to have a path to victory, which, by the way, one of the things I like about this is the victory points, definitely that slingshot effect. You don't know who's going to win. You have no clue who's going to win. There's no way to judge that. So you got that going on. I like that in these types of games, not knowing who's going to win.
I think the theme is really cool. So the idea is that it's a White Castle in Japan. And there's a daimyo who's kind of like the head of the lands. And you represent one of your families that's trying to get good in with them. And you have 3 different types of workers. You have warriors, you have courtiers, and you have gardeners that you want to be able to go into a White Castle and help. Hey, I want to use my soldiers and guards to help protect the White Castle. I want to get my courtiers. I want to get them into influencers into the castle itself. Or here's some gardeners that I can kind of deploy out there in order to help get some additional resources, like some food or some wood or ore, etc., like that. So I like the theme of it because on your turn, you're trying to get your meeples out on the board. And the more your meeples you have on the board, that's where you can start triggering a lot of interesting options.
And you are always resource constrained.
Whew. Yes. Yes.
And they drive different resources are driven by different workers. Now, one thing is you don't always have to go to the board. And this was something that I didn't want to, when we were talking about, I didn't want to call you an idiot savant, but you had the savant going on with the combos, figuring that out. And I was like, he is just racking up the points on this over there. He is understanding how it goes. And I could not get the right resources. I knew what I wanted to do. That is one thing. It's not so complex that you have no idea how to achieve your path to victory. There are some things that are just going to be, okay, I know I need to do this to get these combos going. That is your ultimate goal. And you were spot on with those, but I kept finding myself, I'm resource constrained over here. I'm resource constrained over here. This is not going to let me achieve the combo that I want. And I really need to do this in order to drive my next action. And I can't. Crap, I'm wasting a turn. So as far as theme goes, I lost the theme. I didn't care.
Okay.
It meant nothing to me.
Well, I know, but on the board, it's like the idea, like I said, you're trying to get your meeples off your board onto the main board. And the reason why you want them off your board is because, like you said, you can put die on your own board on one of 3 rows. You have 3 different color die, red, black, and white. And there's 3 spots on your board you can place a die. And to the right-hand side is going to be like either a row of farmers or courtiers or soldiers. And when you place one of the die there, the more of those pieces that you have placed on the board opens up spots on your board where you can collect additional goods because of that. And also you get to trigger a card that's at the very end of your board that changes over the course of the game. But I just thought it was very simple. It's like there's only 3 types of resources. Like I said, there's food, there's iron, there's white pearls. Well, to get soldiers on the board, you use iron. To get gardeners on the board, use food. To get courtiers into the court, use these shining white pearls in order to do so. And it all kind of fit to me. It's like, okay, I need this for that, this for that, this for that. I need to go here to get that. I need to go here to get that and here to get this, sort of deal. So it just clicked for some reason.
One thing I did like about the game is that as you bring your courtiers into the various palaces, they would gain cards. Therefore, it would change the actions that the dice were doing. It did not become stale.
Yeah. Because at the beginning of the game, the main building was seeded with all these different cards. And you could take a die that you draft and put it in. It's called a room. Every room of the White Castle has a card, and you could put it in the room with the card. Randomly, there were spots on the board that says, okay, when you put a red die in this room, you're going to get to do these actions that's on this card. But when one of your pieces moved into that room, you claimed that card, it went to your own personal board, and a new card came out. Thus, in the future rounds, the actions in that room will be different. Very cool.
And the actions on your board are now different. So
yes.
When you thought that you were going to get some resources by placing a die on your board on that row, you just change that. So you need to plan for that as well. But it was a very, I hear the neat word's going to come out, but it was a very engaging mechanic that I liked because it kept changing. It kept making you think and mess up strategy. Not only did taking dice mess up people up, a lot of people were dealing with that, but I like how that played out and how that you could also do something like you could hate draft dice where, because at the end of a round, if you had gardeners out there and there were dice in their garden, you could take one of those actions if you had a gardener meeple there. But if there were no dice there, then no one could take those actions. Right. I like that. I like when there is actually, I didn't get a meeple there, but they get to do all these fun stuff. Well, I'm going to show them. I like that. Sometimes you got to have a little hate in a game.
I really like the fact that with a lot of dice drafting and placement games, you have to, it's like, oh, this space requires a 4. There's no 4s left. And usually you have to pay to, make a 4 or change the value of the die. That is here, but there's a bonus. Let's say I draft a 3, and there's 3 spots on the board where you draft, and they're separated by the colors, which I had mentioned, red, black, and white. And it's like, oh, this action right here requires a white 4. Huh. Well, I've only got a white 2. I'll draft a white 2, put it here. All you do is pay the difference in money, and then you can take that action. But what's cool is once I place that 2 there, Tony might come after me and go, oh, I like that action too. I'm going to draft this white 6 and put it on top of Marty's white 2. And now what happens if you place a value that's higher than what's on the board, you get the difference in money. So it's not like not only do you get to take the action, you get money back. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, I was going to mention that as well. That is probably one of the best actions, because if people go out and they Google this game, the White Castle, and they see the board, they're like, oh man, you're going to be limited by the dice you put there, so it's going to hamper you. No, this mechanic makes that go away. It's also one of the mechanics that you can say, okay, how can I impact other people? Once again, put a little hate on the board. Oh, I could put a dice that gives me a benefit, because if you take dice off the bridge in a certain way, you get to do an additional step. If you take it from the left, you get to get some more resources from your card. But if you take it from the right, you don't do that. But that's where the higher dice are on how you sequence the dice.
Yeah, so what happens when you roll the dice at the beginning round, you put them in sequential order in their little drafting area. So naturally, the lower ones are going to be on the left, but you do get that benefit. We'll talk about that in a minute. You could take a lantern action, which is really neat too, that changes over the course of the game.
So I take that dice from the right, it's a 6, and I place it out there on the board. And now what that does is, based on how the other dice are, people are either going to have to pay money or get no money.
Yes.
As part of the strategy. Remember, I got 9 actions that I'm going to get over this game. I better doing the most mean thing I can do to keep people from accomplishing their goals as well.
There is a limit, though. You can only stack a total of 2 dice on top of each other. So you can lock out spots. And in the course of the games that we played, there were spots like, oh, crap, Bert put a die there. There's 2 there. I can't go there anymore. But even though that would happen, I would usually still find some other place that I could go to help me out. So it didn't feel that restricted when a certain spot on the board got locked out.
No, I agree. I never felt like I could not do it. I'll admit it became a subpar move on my behalf, but I was doing subpar moves most of the night.
We talked about the lantern action. So on your own board at the very beginning of the game, you get a card down on your board that says, hey, whenever you take any lantern, what's called a lantern action on the board, you get everything to the right of this little spot on your board. It starts out with 1 card seated. Remember when I talked about when you go into a courtier room with one of your courtiers, you claim the card there? Well, that card goes onto your board. The one that was there flips over, and there's a resource on the other side that goes down beside your lantern spot. So as you collect cards over the game, you're increasing the number of resources that you get every time you take a lantern action, which could give you any of the 3 resources, victory points, influence on the board. So I like that towards the end of the game, where if you could stack up a bunch of cards, just simply drafting from the left-hand side of a bridge, the die will activate my lantern action, give me tons of resources that I then turn around and use for like saying, oh, sweet, I'm going to place one of my warriors out on the board. I'm going to pay this amount of iron, put it here. Oh, look, it says here that was randomly dealt at the beginning of the game. Whenever I go here, I can take any white die action anywhere on the board. Oh, look, over here in the courtier, in the big white castle, I can take a white action in order to place a gardener on the board. Sweet, I have enough food. I'm going to take a gardener, place it over here. Oh, look, when I place a gardener here, I get something else. That's the combolicious part of the game that really satisfied me every time I played it.
Okay. Keep going on your likes because I'm ready to move to dislikes.
Okay. I think that really covers most of my likes, unless I think of something. Yes.
Okay.
Dislikes. What you got?
I've thought of another like, and this is a wrong. So as with all DeVere games, their iconography is top notch. I cannot commend them enough on this. It was very quick and easy to pick up on what they meant by it. I don't know who their graphic designer is. Don't let that person go, the team. I mean, I was able to look at that quickly, disseminate, okay, without even reading the rules. This is what this is going to do, or this is how this is going to do. Oh, look, on this card, there's this symbol. I can find it on the board somewhere. That makes a game go so much smoother.
And I think they have the simple, and I think they've done this a lot too. Black means you get, red means you pay. I think they've used that in other games too. I really like that. Like you see, if you see a red something, that means you're going to have to pay something. If you see a black something, it means you're going to get it.
Yeah, it's like they got a playbook over there of what when they're designing. This is what this is going to do. Well, I don't want that. I feel tough noogies.
Speaking of which, all DeVere games are top-notch production.
Mm-hmm.
All the components and pieces are just super nice.
Yeah, you even put the little bridges together. I'll commend you for that. I didn't expect
they came with a little bit. Now, the problem is, one of my negatives is the box is so flipping small, I can't get everything in there once the bridges are together.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get the lid to go all the way down. So unless I suck at Tetris, which it may be, I just couldn't get everything to fit. So you don't have to put the bridges together. There's spots on the board. The bridges are there. That's where your dice are placed, and it looks really cool drafting from the left and right-hand side of the bridge. But you don't have to put them together if you don't want to.
So one of the things that I dislike, and it's not the term replayability, not so much a dislike, but I am concerned that there will always be some type of path to victory to achieve the goal of winning. I know that if I put enough warriors up here and then combo off the courtiers that I have there, that's going to help me win.
What you're saying is one of the in-game scoring conditions is each of the spaces on the board where you can have your warriors is a multiplier for the number of your courtiers you have in the main White Castle.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's basically I remember the first game that we played, that was my slingshot, because there was one spot where you could put warriors. It was very pricey to get them there, but it was 2 times every warrior that's in there times the number of courtiers that were in the White Castle. And I scored majorly off that.
Yes, and the garden had some high points, which helped me slingshot. The other game we played, I did not slingshot as well. I misfired. And that is probably one of the things that I am very concerned about with this game is that, and I've said this about a lot of games, that they'll become that one method of ensuring that, if I play this with someone who's never played it and I do this, they're not going to see that. And I have an unfair advantage.
I do feel after my big slingshot in that first game, every game after that, everybody made sure to get at least one of their warriors in the spot that was the multiplier times 2 to make sure to not miss that each time.
Yeah, and there's really no way to prevent you from doing that because you need iron to move your warriors, and I can't stop you from generating resources.
Right. Now, there was some places that were advantages. In the castle, there were different levels, level 1, 2, and 3. In the very top level, the first one there, you got a little bonus. There were 3 spots, little bonus spots that could have been some additional resources, some victory points. That was also random each game too.
But they weren't that impressive.
No, but it still gave you a little bonus every time you went up there, and you got to take a lantern action. So no spot was limited with the number of your wooden pieces that anybody could put out there. I do see what you're saying, and I don't think that the multiplier part you can ignore.
No, you
cannot. Maybe it's meant to be that way. You remember in Red Cathedral, you had to be able to add and build to the cathedral to get points. Maybe that was the thinking here. It's like, look, the whole theme of this game is getting your people off your board and onto the main board, your gardeners, your courtiers, and the warriors. The more you have, the more points you're going to score. So in that aspect, I see the reason behind it.
And there was, in our one game, we had a gardener action that allows you to take an action on your own player board. I knew how important that was, and you used it. I knew that was the place to be with your garden, because at the end...
But you could have gone there, right?
No, I couldn't get food. It was like, I kept struggling to get the food. I'm like, okay, I need to go get that. Oh crap, there's 2 dice there now. And I was like, this really blows, because I needed to get that gardener over there. And then when the one time I had enough food, I didn't have the one icon I needed to say, take the garden action. It's like, this sucks.
No, that was interesting too. Some of the cards in the board where you play a die and you get to take an action. Like, say, for example, Tony, it's like, oh, sweet, there's a card in one of the rooms. I can place a black die, for example, and I get to take the gardener action. And the person before you moves a Cartier into that room and replaces that card, and you go, crap, the new card doesn't have that action on there.
So that's probably my biggest downfall for this game is the new players will be impacted when you play them because they won't understand the multipliers or the in-game scoring, which is one of the things I like, not knowing who's going to win at the end. However, and then it's going to be a constant strategy of, okay, we need to do this, and how do I achieve these goals? And maybe that's the purpose of this game. I know my goals to achieve, and I only have 9 turns to do it in. How am I going to achieve that with the board continuously changing over the game?
So after we were done, everybody kind of said, okay, where does this kind of fall for you? I think it ranked up there for everybody in DeVere games. Since the same designers did this and Red Cathedral, I think I still like Red Cathedral just a tad more. That expansion, but that expansion really added a lot. I can't remember base game to this game, maybe which one I would like more. I love the fact that both of them are pretty easy to set up. Both of them use clever uses of dice, and both of them finish in 90 minutes. I'm now a fan of these two designers here, and I will try anything they ever put out. And I was excited to see this one, and it just, for me, it really did not disappoint.
Okay, and I never played the expansion to Red Cathedral because I was gone. And it's hard for me to remember Red Cathedral enough to compare it. I'll just say I enjoyed playing the White Castle and what it brought to the table and the variability. And I think it will be replayed, even with the challenges that I mentioned, because of speed of the play and ease of setup and how easy it is to teach.
Yeah, I 100% agree. White Castle is going to be coming out, I think, at Essen. It may be on pre-order right now or soon. Like I said, y'all, anytime DeVere comes out with the game, they tend to find a good designers to work with great production. Oh, Tony, one of the big things I like before we go, I always love to say this too. When you get towards the end of the game and people are going, crap, I wish I had one more turn, that tells me that you want more. Meaning it's like it didn't drag like you, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad this game is over sort of deal, as opposed to, crap, I just wish I could place 3 more die and my plan would be perfect. I like getting games that feel like that, and that's what White Castle does for me.
Head over to shopportalgames.com for all the goodness that is over there. You have 11. You've got his newest one, that Imperial Miners. We talked about this last show. Such a fun game. It's in the Imperial Settlers family. Fun, quick little engine building game. 20 to 60 minutes, right up our alley. You get if you go over to his website, it's $39 right now. Plus you get some bonus stuff thrown in there, a little bit of expansion cards thrown in there. You also, of course, have 51st State, Detectives, Empires of the North, and my favorite, Robinson Crusoe. Get the Mysterious Tales, which adds to it. Maybe you want some deluxe components to go with it. A little fire, some bananas, some food. He's got all that. Or order that treasure pack. That's over there as well. Head over to shopportalgames.com.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
Another game that caught our attention at Gen Con was one called Trickdraw from Good Games Publishing. Designers Morteza Rohanajad and Blake Propach. And this game is all about a shootout in the West where you are trying to get the most victory points. but it's a unique way to get the most victory points. And that is on your turn, you're going to draw a card. You will then play a card either face up or face down. If you play it face down, it's worth 1 point. If you play it face up, you do the text on the card. Now, this is very interactive with one another because you can really mess with one another. You can, flip Marty's cards over, or maybe I'll steal a card from Marty. This game really caught our attention. And we were like, wait a minute, for something so simple, this is amazing. Another game that we constantly were playing.
Yeah, this is one of those that we just happened to walk by and was talking to the owner of Good Games Publishing and said, hey, Guildmaster, we like that. And he said, would you guys like to try this? We hadn't even heard of it. We said, sure. This game plays in like anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, 2 to 5 players, and the rules are super simple. Literally, like Tony said, you play a card face up or face down. And what I love, Tony, is the text on the cards are extremely straightforward. They tell you exactly what you can do. Hey, on reveal, you can turn another card face up or face down. Could be yours, could be somebody else's. Or, hey, ongoing. On your turn, you can discard a card to draw a card. Sweet. Ongoing, you can ignore 1 discard cost. Oh, so that means if I have that in combo with this other card for drawing a card, that means I get to draw a card for free every turn. Somebody else may not like that combo, like Tony over there, and he says, forget this junk. I'm going to play this card face up that says, turn a card face down, and he takes one of those cards that I was using, turns it face down. Yes, he gave me a point, but he just broke my engine. To me, Tony, this game is all about combos as you race to be the first to get 10 points.
And one of the most unique things for me about this game was the fact that when someone gets to the 10 points and the end game is triggered, doesn't mean they win. Now, yeah, the first person to 10 points gets 2 additional cards that they place face down in front of them. However, the other players get to do their turns and they can adjust. Now, it's doubtful that they'll be able to get enough points away from the person who just got 10. However, if someone is able to get 2 people equal, say I got the person who get him down to 9 and I get you up to 9, y'all have a shootout, you kill each other, I'm the winner.
It's fast.
It's fast.
Draw a card, play a card. It is fast. And there's not that many different cards. You kind of learn what all the cards do over the course of the game, and it's heavily interactive. You know how a lot of people say, oh, this game it's just a solitaire game. You just worry about yourself. No. This is the wild, wild west, y'all. You're sitting there mucking with everybody. And what is really cool is you can always look at your face down cards. So if you want to turn one of yours face up, you can see which one you want to, but you can't look at your opponents. And I got messed up by that because this is a little bit of a memory game. There are 3 cards in the game that says if you have 2 of these 3 cards and you have them face up on your table, you automatically win the game. Tony had one of those cards on the table and it went face down. I had one of the other ones and I thought, ooh, I'm going to play this. I have another card already showing that says I can steal a card. And I went over there with a smirk on my face and I grabbed one of Tony's face down cards and I looked at it. I grabbed the wrong one, y'all.
Trickdraw, one of my favorites at the convention.
It came out of nowhere, y'all. It really did. And it's one of those things you may not have ever heard. I mean, there's card games all over the place. Small box games. I love simple little card games like this. Even though it's called Trickdraw, there's no tricks involved. But if you want a game that you can build some really, really sweet combos. And I honestly take, Tony, you can actually have a really interesting turn by playing one card and flipping others face up, because when they're flipped face up, if it has reveal, you get to activate that action again. And it could just make some combo-licious games there.
So that is Trickdraw from Good Games Publishing.
5-minute initiative is complete.
In one of our videos that we put out there, I talked about how chess sucks. You remember that video, Marty? My little clickbait thing?
I do. I remember that.
So there was a famous chess match well before our time. And that was between the 2 grandmasters between Russia.
Not really. We were around during this
Were
time.
we?
1972.
Oh, we were just babes. We were 5 years old.
I agree. We were babes, but
we were still
around.
eating mud pie. Okay. So 2 of the grandmasters, American Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky from the Soviet Union, battled one another for world dominance, because back then, chess was king, and you could settle a lot of political battles with that. So it was the match of the century. This game, from Deep Print Games, Capstone Games, Salt and Pepper Games, and of course, there's one more in here, Pegasus Spiel, designed by somebody by the name of this guy named Paolo Mori.
Oh yeah, big fans of Paulo.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
So he's done, get this, Ethnos.
Yep, there he is.
Pandemic Fall of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Blitzkrieg War in 20 Minutes. Libertalia. I mean, it's insane. The one we just covered, Dogfight.
Yeah. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes. A ton of Dogs of War.
Dog of War.
Yeah. I mean, with the expansions and everything, man's got over 40 games to his credit. Pocket battles, that kind of stuff. So we love his games.
Rise of Augustus. He did Rise of Augustus.
Mm-hmm. He did. One of the first.
I like Paolo. So what did we think of this game? Match of the century from Paolo.
Without the rules explanation, I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. So without going into the rules, it's me and Marty against one another. And we are playing some cards, man. We're not playing chess.
Nope.
But we are playing cards, trying to gain control of a certain area, right? I mean, how do you, area control?
No, well, I don't know if it's area. There's 4 slots on the board, and whoever gets to go first picks one of those spots to play a card, and somebody responds in like kind. You compare the strengths, and whoever gets it basically gets to get influence on the board.
Advantage.
Get the advantage on the board. The 4 slots are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you win the 4th slot, you get 4 advantage. You win the 1 slot, you get 1 advantage. And it's a tug of war, basically, that after 4 cards have been played, whichever side the pawn is on at the end means they, I'm doing air quotes, won that match. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to win 6 matches. And then the person who does that wins the game.
In chess, you have white and black pawns, and these cards have
pieces.
Pieces. Thank you. Have a white side and a black side, and they're multi-purpose cards. And probably the one thing that I thought was ingenious is if I lose the match, I get to do something. I love that. I wanted to throw the match so that I got something special to happen.
Well, the thing you get to do is what's written on the card.
Right.
Yeah. So every card has a value and a text. And if you, like you said, you lose, you get whatever the text is. And it's one of those clever things I didn't even really pick up on. I played this with Bert. I've played it with you. And you said, well, yeah, Marty, this is just like chess. It's like sometimes you're playing in a chess match. It's like, I'm going to purposely let you win my pawn here because I'm setting up for something big. Mm-hmm. And that's what this kind of became. It's like, oh man, if Tony wins this, he's going to get 3 advantage. But if I let him win this one little round right here, I can activate this text right here on the card, which will help me out maybe in a future round. Maybe it gives me additional pawns on my side, because when you play a card in a slot, you can add up to 2 of your pawns to increase your strength by 1 or 2. So maybe I want those available to me for maybe the future time that we play, maybe for that 4 advantage. I can make sure I win that. Mm-hmm. So you purposely throw it sometime in order to try to win overall.
Mm-hmm. And depending on the strength of the card, may have some really nice, like there's the 5 card, and 5 card for either the white or the black. It depends on which one. It'll allow you to gain additional pawns, draw 2 cards, and move on your endurance track. Each person has an endurance, and that's how well they are doing in the match. And as your endurance increases, you get additional pawns back. You get to have more cards in your hand. But if you're wearing yourself out or your endurance is dropping, then your hand size is dropping. Also, the initiative track, you may start, the other player may start on with more advantage on his initiative. And that can also happen if you've got more endurance. If that occurs, then he gets to, you get to go up in your endurance. So that lets them win the match sooner. All this is going on. All this you have to gauge as you're playing over this game. How do I want to move this? Because I need to plan for the next match to make sure I have enough cards in hand, enough pawn, especially in the later matches that we're playing. because if you don't, the first few matches, they may be throwaways, but you are setting yourself up. You're trying to think, how am I going to get this to occur? Case in point. So Marty and I are playing, and I see that I've played my cards, my black cards, and I see, oh crap, on the bottom of them, they are the stronger white cards, and I'll be playing white the next time. I need to get those reshuffled into my deck. I'm sitting there holding a card that if I lose, then I get to reshuffle back in there, setting myself up for the next round. But this is a pretty powerful card too, so I need to feint. I need to say, hey, I'm going to play this here and say, okay, I need to make sure I lose. That's the type of stuff that, this shined for me. I was like, wow, putting this together. This was combo-licious for me.
You didn't really make a combo just by playing a card. But what you did is like you said, you set up future rounds. And the more we played, I too found myself sure, I'm playing black this turn, but you go back and forth, black, white, each match. You're right. You start looking at the white side of the card going, ooh, I don't want to play this black card. I'd prefer to have this white portion of the card available to me next round, because after you end a match, you can discard however many number of cards you want and then draw back to whatever wherever your endurance marker is on the track at the time. Turn your cards over, 180 degrees, and then you're playing the other side of the cards. But also, Tony, what's interesting too is when you go through your deck and you have to reshuffle, you lose endurance.
Yeah.
So you try to make sure you don't want to just willy-nilly discard because you'll run through your draw deck quicker. And you want to keep that endurance high because, like you said, that determines the number of pawns you get at the beginning of each round and your hand size.
So a lot of people will compare this to like the Watergate game. And we enjoyed Watergate. I really enjoyed Watergate. I got it sitting here at the house. I love playing Watergate. But I'm going to tell you, Match of the Century would be above it for me.
Really? Okay. I will say they're not
the same game.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to say, are they comparable? Are they two-player games that are in small boxes, easy rules? 100%. But they're totally different styles of games.
Right. But you're still fighting over this influence to gain the advantage. Yes.
Like one thing I did like in Watergate is you could choose to play a card for its text, and if you do it, that card may be out of the game. That didn't exist here. That was a tough decision in Watergate. It's like, the text on this is so good, but if I use it, I never get to use this card again the rest of the game. Or, you can use the card for the influence or the values on it as opposed to the text. I really do like the idea here is you use the values to try to win the match or purposely maybe throw the match so that you can get to activate the text on it. And each card has two parts to it, the white and black. So it is an extremely clever game. It plays in 30 minutes. So it's one of those that sets up fast and we play it fast. Now, I will say that if you buy this game, I highly recommend reading the 20-page history book on the Match of the Century, which tells about these two people playing. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Bobby Fischer, but don't know much about him. Come to find out, the guy was kind of a jerk and very hard to play with, and had a lot of demands when he played a chess match. But what's more interesting about this is that this was during the Cold War. The Russians were very proud of their chess playing abilities and the fact they won year after year. They wanted to make sure that whoever faced against Fischer had the best chance of winning. And it was a big deal when Fischer won, etc. And, if you lost chess in Russia, maybe you were never heard from again, or your family wasn't as well off as what they were before, they had, were winning a bunch of chess matches. So politically and socially, it was a very intriguing story. So read the book. It really adds even more to this game when you play through it, even though you're not technically playing a chess match or trying to replicate what they did during that time. It just gives more depth to the play.
Yeah. And I never saw the movie Pawn's Sacrifice with Tobey Maguire, where he's playing Bobby Fischer. I'm going to have to go see if
I want to now. Yeah.
Yeah. It may be on this streaming channel service you may have heard of called Netflix. I
never heard of it.
Never heard of it. I know I haven't. So if you enjoyed Watergate, give Match of the Century a try. Clay, bravo. Paulo, bravo. It's one of my favorite games this year.
Yeah, and in fact, right now, it's on pre-order over at Miniature Market. Please use our affiliate link for only $27.99. So the MSRP is $34.95. So you can get it for just $28. Fantastic deal at $28. But they don't skimp on the products. Mm-mm. You get like a nice bag. You get these nice wooden pawns and incredible cards. The cards feel really good. Clay Capstone actually sent us some of his Phantom sleeves, and I sleeved it because they were specifically made for the Watergate size cards or the Match of the Century style cards. These sleeves are great. Oh my gosh, they're good, so good. They talked about easy shuffling. It's like effortless shuffling. So what does that mean? It's true. They're effortlessly shuffling. So check out the Phantom sleeve line from Capstone Games. Really good stuff.
And
so anyway,
hey, hold on. And while you're over at Miniature Market, be sure to add a chess clock timer to your cart. We're using our affiliate code.
They have that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Miniature Market has chess clock timers. I mean, you could probably pick up a cheap one just for the fun of it. But I think if I had one, I would have brought it when we played this just to have that feeling of, okay, on your turn, you got 2 minutes. And, most chess matches, if you go to the New York and into the Central Park where you can play, you got those clock timers. They got 5 minutes to play a game. Boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, add that to your, just give you that feel of playing a chess match.
Yeah. So Match of the Century, available for pre-order right now. If you liked Watergate and that style of quick 2-player game, small box game, definitely check this game out. Tony actually likes it more than Watergate. I think I probably lean a little bit more Watergate, but I will say I think this one's way easier to teach, and I'll probably get it back to the table quicker just because the teach is so quick. Great job, guys.
We mentioned the Rolling Dice and Taking Aim affiliate link over to miniaturemarket.com. Click on that, then go to the site and start shopping because they've got all your gaming needs that you need. They've got some of the newest Great Western Trail New Zealand, 3 Ring Circus. You heard about it here. They recently had a big thing where they displayed and highlighted all the Star Trek stuff that they have over there. Miniature games, trading card games, role-playing games, accessories, all that is going there. But most important, you need to make sure that you have an account there because they have some points that you will collect over time that you can then use to discount. Oh, guess what? October's right around the corner. You know what that means? That means it's time to start putting that Christmas list together. That's right. You need to start getting ready. You are good. You need to get that wish list created over at Miniature Market to save your friends and family time. Just say, hey, go over to Miniature Market. Here's my wish list. There you go. Problem solved. Everybody's happy, including you. Head over to miniaturemarket.com.
5-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
For years, y'all, I've heard Tony whine every time up I bring the idea of a social deduction game. If you've listened to this show, anything like Werewolf, anything where there's a hidden traitor, Tony is just not into it. I understand his reasons, and I totally respect it. So when I brought up a game that was a social deduction game, I thought, oh boy, we got to get over a hump. But when the social deduction game is actually a trick-taking game, I thought, Tony, this might be one you'll at least try and tell us what you think since you love trick-taking games so much.
All right, I want you, Mr. Sound Effect Editor, I want you to put the Hallelujah or the Angels Singing Choir in here. I loved it.
Oh, Tony found the social deduction game he likes.
And it's not really that much of a social deduction game, and I probably think that's why I liked it. It leans heavily towards playing cards and understanding how to drive tricks in playing cards. It is right up there with everything I know on how to play cards to help me deduce who was what in this game, who was the insider and who were the normal agents. That is what I liked about this. It wasn't me sitting there arguing with people.
Yeah, so like Resistance style where you spend 5 minutes. Oh, that's a good point. That's been your whole beef with social deduction games is the wasting of time of pointing fingers at each other. It's like, just move on.
Just move on.
Yeah, that doesn't exist here at all. I guess there is a little bit of that as you're playing the game because you're dealt 13 cards. There's 4 different suits. There are cards range from 1 to 13. It's regular trick-taking rules. Somebody leads with a card, you have to follow suit. There'll be a trump that's based on a mission, which I'll talk about in a second. If you trump it, then you take the trick. Very straightforward. The agents are trying to complete missions. The insider's trying to keep you from completing missions or win a certain number of tricks, which is, I think, is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning of the round, and I say I'm not going to explain rules, but this is pretty freaking important. The start player picks 2 of the cards from the mission deck, and the mission cards are something like every card played must be less than the one before it. Every card played must be an odd number card. Every card must be an even. It has that sort of thing. And if you play a whole round and you succeed on that mission, like every card for sure was odd, great. The agents have now completed a mission, and based on the number of players, we'll say how many missions you need to complete. Let's say, for example, playing 4 players, we need to complete 7 missions. Awesome, great. Meanwhile, the insider is trying to stop you from completing missions, so maybe he secretly plays an even card in there to screw things up. Or he's just trying to win tricks, because if he wins a certain number of tricks, after he claims that number, every time you win a trick, you get a little token. After he gets a certain amount, he can just say, I'm the insider, you guys lose, you suck.
Now, one of the things that's important, when Marty said he just plays an even number, it's open knowledge. So we know you messed up. There's none of this hidden stuff.
Yeah, but it'd be like, guys, I only had 3 cards in my hand. I had no odd number cards, and that very well could have been the case, but all of a sudden that casts suspicion on the person.
Yes, because you don't know what they have in hand because, well, the next card they play, well, guess what? It shows up to be an odd number or whatever it needs to be. And that, for the insider, is the one key rule that the insider can break is he does not have to follow suit. She does not have to follow suit. They can throw whatever card they want, which will help them achieve their goals. But you better be very careful that people are not counting cards, which is something I do. I count cards.
Yes, you do. But do you have perfect knowledge in this game? You do not.
No, you do not. But I do watch how you sort your cards.
Son of a gun. I was wondering if you did crap like that. So I'm going to start sorting my cards under the table.
Don't sort your cards. It's like in Scout. You don't need to flip the cards over. You should be able to see them.
I guess. But I'm just such a normal, it's like put on my suits in order and everything like that. Okay, I'm glad you told me that was a tail. I didn't know that, but I'm glad you told me that now.
Yeah, if you're pulling from a certain area, I can lead with that color the next time or see how you're pulling.
Oh, y'all listen, this is a man who has played tons of spades and hearts right there.
This is how you play card. Play any of the card games. You are watching what people are doing, or something that you can do and watch. And this is what I was also watching. By the way, I didn't lose a single match. Thank you very much. I was the insider twice, but I'll watch you that when a card is played, if you immediately go and touch a certain card on your hand, I know you have that suit because you're not thinking about what you're going to do or how you're going to play. So I know right then, okay, he's got that color, he's got that suit, he's ready to go.
One thing I do like about this game is, like in a regular game, like let's say there's 4 players. There's 1 insider, 3 agents. And I just told you basically how it works for each one of you. But you could have special agents and special rules. Like, in the game, I talked about the game Bang. There's a game of Bang where it's like you don't either want the sheriff or the crooks to win. Instead, you'll win if that's the case. There's little shifty roles like that you can incorporate instead of the regular agents. Or there's an accomplice where you're an accomplice and you reveal, I'm an accomplice. You secretly look at somebody else's role card and your goal is to help them win. It could be the insider, it could be an agent. And if they win, you win the game. So it's not just vanilla agents and insiders. There can be special roles for both the agents and insiders, which adds a lot of replayability to the game.
And this plays up to 5, right?
Up to 5, 20 to 30 minutes, something like that.
So this is a 4 and 5 player game only for me.
Yep.
I don't
agree.
It cannot be a 2-player game. A 3-player would be boring as all get out. Yes, the heavens have parted, light has shone down, miracles do happen. I like the social deduction game only because it involved cards, and the skills that I have in playing cards really did help me.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it something that your friends would like?
Yes, you did. You liked it a lot.
No, I'm sorry. Your neighbors and stuff that you and Donna get to play with and stuff like that, since they like games like spades and stuff like that? Would they like this?
This would be too complex of a card game for them. I would lean towards Scout before I would do this.
Interesting. Okay. Even though the only thing that's different is just the whole roll part.
It's the fact that you got to achieve a certain goal. Trump is based on the card, and they need to understand this whole social dynamic and remember the one key rule: insiders don't have to follow suit. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I will say this. It was very important as we were playing. If somebody starts winning too many tricks, you get very suspicious and you try to take a trick from them at that point. Mm-hmm. Even though they could be the good guys on your team, you just don't know. Yeah. So we always tried to make sure one person didn't win too many tricks in a row.
But if someone won a certain amount, they turned over and showed who they were.
Oh, that's true. Okay, let's say I'm an agent and I win the required amount of tricks that would trigger for the insider to win. You always reveal your role when you get to that certain number of tricks that you won. It's just that if you're insider, the game ends. But if you're an agent, that's good because now everyone else can see, okay, all the other agents go, well, I know he's a good person. And by the way, what happens if you play through the entire 13 hands and nobody's won, not 13 hands, you actually don't play your entire hand, which I like too. You play like down there's just a couple cards left in your hand. At that point, you do the simple voting thing. 1, 2, 3, point. Whoever has the most fingers pointed to them, they reveal. If it's the insider, they lost the game. So you're trying to pick out the insider at that point.
Mm-hmm. Good game. Good game.
Yes. So this is Inside Job from Cosmos designer Tanner Simmons. We finally got a winner, y'all, for Tony.
5-minute initiative is complete.
It's coming, y'all. The new Game Toppers Kickstarter is going to be coming soon, starting in the middle of October 17th, running through December 15th. He has some really cool new products coming out. One of the main ones is like a kids table, which is like a low to the ground table. Great for kids, great for them to not only, if it's not board games like Legos and just toys and stuff like that with some casters on it. So you want to go check that out. Plus all this, his standard products and everything like that. The well-designed, well-made game toppers with the nice rails and the nice accessories, attachments for holding glasses and wine glasses and token trays and everything like that. There's going to be some brand new mats with some new art. So you want to keep your eye out on the Kickstarter. Again, it's going to be coming in October. You're going to be hearing more about it here. These always do really well, and he puts a lot of focus into making sure he gets that fulfillment done when he says he's going to. So to find out more, head over to GameToppersLLC.com. Make sure to follow them on social media so you can see the links for when the Kickstarter comes live in October.
We've come back from vacation. We've headed to Mega Moose Con when this is released. So we've had a big time over there playing some games, got some more stuff to talk about. So the show doesn't end, but I will say this. You know, one of the things that happened recently that I just want to do a quick outro on is that we admitted we were old, talking about dead people. But my shoe, I lost the sole of my shoe. I had to buy new shoes for this trip. And Marty, I don't know if you've come to the realization yet. Shoes without laces are an awesome thing.
I have not done that yet. I actually saw some Skechers the other day.
I bought them.
You bought the Skechers without the laces, so they're just slip-ons?
Well, they got laces in them, but yeah, they expand out.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I've got old man shoes.
That's not old man shoes. Have I seen young people? Yes, I've seen young people wear the slip-ons where there's no laces at all. So,
they were some of the most comfortable. But I guess the reason why I call them old man shoes and why it's in my note is I swear 40% of the people on that cruise ship had them on too. I was like, oh man, this sucks.
They ain't new. That's why I was gonna say they're Skechers, but yeah, go ahead. The old man shoe would be the New Balance version of that.
Oh, and I did have my New Balances. I lost my tread, but that was just because they came in wide and they were on sale. But I did lose the tread on those, and they're now lawn mowing shoes. I had to fix those up. But yeah, so those were the old man shoes on the trip on the cruise. I was like, oh man, I can't believe. Yeah, okay, but they're so comfortable and so easy.
I love
to get
Skechers. I love Skechers, man.
Oh man,
That's I buy those for both running and just regular casual shoes. That memory foam stuff, it does me good.
All my dress shoes are Skechers. So yeah. So, and one thing, promise me this, if we're ever at Gen Con or any type of event, and I told Donna she needs to do the same thing. She needs to put me out to pasture. If I am just suddenly walking and I suddenly stop and turn around, just put me out to pasture.
Well, turning around is fine if you're changing direction. It's just the stopping that gets me.
Yeah, and on the ship, it was so funny. I was walking behind somebody or these people, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And they both suddenly just stopped and about faced, and it was like nose to nose. And they're like, well, excuse you. I'm like, I'm not the one that just did a 180 here.
You need to make a shift to the left or right because I ain't moving.
I'm like, what is up with that? And then my favorite thing is when they do when you're driving down the interstate, you know how you want to go pass around somebody and they shift into your lane. I'm walking down the cruise ship and all of a sudden these people, they're single file because people are going by them. And as soon as the single file gets through, all of a sudden they go spread wide and I can't get around them. I'm like, oh, come on. I told Donna, I think I've met my limit on cruise ship days. That's 11. 11. I'm done at 11. They're going to send me to 11. But I'm so glad to be back in America for getting some games played. Missed you guys for 3 weeks getting it played.
Oh, yeah. It's great. And on our next episode, we'll be covering a lot of games that we'll be playing at Mega Moose Con. And one of those is going to be Age of Inventions, which I am super excited about, which is the follow-up to Terra Mystica. It's basically they take Terra Mystica, Gaia Project, take a lot of the best of those things and put them into this one. So I can't wait to see if that's the case.
Okay, well, I'll try to find something for us to play as well. I got a new one, Borderlands. I'm very excited. One of our first games you and I ever completed as a co-op, now a board game. Got that. I want to look forward to playing that because of all the variability with the guns in it. And who knows what
very
else.
Cool. And I also will say, if we get out of here, we haven't pushed this in a while, but if you would like to support the show, please head over to buymeamoonpie.com, or you can head over to it points to buymeacoffee/RDTN. We have the places there where you can support the show. Either you could do like a one-time donation or a recurring donation. All that you guys donate goes straight back into the show. We're not pocketing any of this stuff so we can go out and keep our Netflix account going. No, it goes into the show to covering expenses that we have, mics and everything like that, and recorders and
or
stuff
go
like
on
that.
vacation, pay for file sizes, upload thing. Actually, probably find somebody who can make a better website, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we had to upgrade our servers because after 300 episodes, we ran out of space and had to buy some more space, stuff like that. So, yeah, any support you can do from the show, that'd be great. Don't forget, you can also support us just by going out to Miniature Market using our affiliate link. You're not giving us a dime, but when you buy something, Miniature Market gives us a little bit, which is really nice, too.
Or head over to eWin. Be sure to use that code, that 30% off RDTN code. That's a big one as well, especially if you need a new chair to replace the one that your child just took to college.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they have some super nice chairs. And actually, you do get a benefit there with a 30% off, but we get like 5% back on that too, which is really nice. And these chairs are super nice. Tony and I are sitting in ones right now. And guess what, y'all? All those links are at rolldicetakenames.com or in our Discord channel. If you look in, there's, I think, like announcements channel or something like that. I have everything pinned right there, so they're easy to find.
So with that, let's keep rolling dice
and taking some names. Hey y'all, thanks for listening. Don't forget you can back the show over at buymeamoonpie.com, join our Discord channel, find all of our links for affiliate codes over at rolldicetakenames.com, and we'll see you next episode.
Hey, Marty, you know what one of the hardest things is we do for this show?
What's that?
Come up with these stingers.